Hello AP Biology students, we're going to start the fourth unit about the cell cycle. This unit's going to be a lot smaller than the previous unit on cellular energetics. And basically in this unit, we're going to be focusing on the cell cycle and how cells divide. Now, the actual AP Biology curriculum also includes cell communication in this unit. However, we went over that in a previous unit, Unit 2, because I like that unit just tied in with cell organelles a little bit more. So again, just realize that I organize this unit just a little bit differently than the AP curriculum does. In this first section, we're going to review something called surface area to volume ratios. To start this section off, I like to pose the question of why can't cells just grow in size instead of dividing? Like if you look here, you can see a cell just growing. So why aren't we just like one big cell instead of like the trillions of cells that make us up? Remember that when we talk about surface area, we're talking about the outside of something. And when we talk about volume, we're talking about everything on the inside. When we refer to the concepts of surface area and volume within cells, we're looking at the ratio between those two numbers. That is, again, the ratio of surface area to volume of a cell. Maximizing the ratio here helps a cell be efficient at transporting materials into and out of the cell. Basically what that means is how quickly can we get materials into the cell and saturated within the cell, and how quickly can we get materials exported out of a cell in order to prevent damage within the cell. This single slide is probably the most important about the whole section, because as a cell grows in size, the surface area to volume ratio goes down. If you look at these two diagrams, you can see a single cell that's really big and then multiple cells that are very small. The amount of space or volume between these two diagrams are the same. They're the same volume in total. Even though there's only one cell here and there's 27 cells here, each of the total volumes is the same. However, if you look at the total surface area, there's a lot more surface area over on these sides compared with this one cell. That's because they're just very small. There's more surface area in total with all 27 cells. There's about 16,000 compared with this one cell where there's about 5,500. So if we look at those two numbers, we look at those ratios of surface area to volume, as a cell gets bigger, its surface area to volume ratio is drastically going to decrease. This basically, again, means that the amount of area is going to increase much more quickly than the surface area. That's going to make it difficult for cells to transport materials into and out of the cell. If you think about this one big cell, to get something to the nucleus here or to the inner part, it has to travel all this way back and forth, back and forth. But if we look at these smaller cells, it only has to travel very short distances to get things into and out of its middle portion. So it doesn't have to expend or expel a lot of energy transporting materials throughout the cell. This makes the cell much more efficient at just completing cellular processes, which evolutionary is a better way of just conducting life. There are ways to increase surface area to volume ratios. Like I said, dividing is one, changing shape, like narrowing your cell is another. And one last way is increasing the folds along the membrane, which we saw in the cristae of mitochondria before. Having more surface area for certain processes makes them much more efficient. I like to end with this slide. It's a cell dividing. Get it?